The Middle East. I've never been there, and I never really wanted to go. Maybe Dubai, but I don't even know if they would let me in because reasons. Um, the Middle East is a region that, you know, oil, religious conflict, borders drawn the wrong way, that kind of stuff. And, yeah, that's the Middle East. The biggest conflict in the Middle East, though, that is regularly reported on that no one really seems to understand. Indeed, I don't fully understand this either, and I really don't want. This is one of those issues that I don't want to spend time looking at. The Israeli Palestinian conflict. Um, but then again, I have not concluded whether there is a God, and in all honesty, no one can. I am personally irreligious. I haven't ruled out that God could exist or that there could be some force or something. I don't know. But the Israeli Palestinian conflict was, well, I would like to say was, and I have a plan for was, but it is a really dumb conflict. It's, you see, the state of Israel is Jewish, and it has a Jewish government with a lot of supposed freedom, including the freedom of religion, but it is a Jewish state, and it is the only Jewish state in the world, and they had to put it in the worst possible location, where Jerusalem is. I don't know if the capital is Jerusalem or not, but it's a hot mess that should have never happened. That's my opinion on the government of Israel itself. And, if you're chill with your religion, like if you're being peaceful and you're using it to promote good, that's fine, that's good. It's, if it makes being a good person fun, add some fun to being a good person, and, maybe there is a possibility that there is truth to your religion, but in the end, a lot of people use religion to justify bigotry and tribalism. And when people say that their holy texts aren't like that, they are. They definitely are. Religion. This is the second dumbest religious conflict in the world. The one between Israel and Palestine. Look, the government of Israel and the Jewish population shouldn't be there. If you're going to make a Jewish state, it should have been anywhere else. Okay, anywhere else. They should not have put that in Israel. And, you know, there is this ongoing effort to um, have peace between Israel and Palestine through what is called the two-state solution. That was very close to happening in the Clinton administration, if I remember my history books correctly. That almost happened, but those talks fell apart, and people were disappointed when that happened. And that was the biggest disappointment of the 90s. But, you know, some see this as something that's going to be a conflict forever, but I seriously think that there is a way to get peace between Israel and Palestine. It's not a conventional method, but it could work. It's so crazy it might work. So instead of a two-state solution between Israel and Palestine, what we do is we have a one-state solution. The whole area is annexed into Israel, and that's fine and dandy because after that, Israel is annexed into Minnesota. Now, that doesn't really make sense when you hear that at first, But when you hear stuff like that, that is far-fetched, you really need to think long and hard. Why would that work? Why is that so crazy? It might work. Well, I really hesitate to just feed you the answer, but, well, Minnesota is seen as this friendly Midwestern state that has crazy weather all the time. Minnesota, which, by the way, about that weather, when it's good, it feels better because it doesn't happen very often. Anyway, Minnesota is a place that has the religious freedom and protection that the rest of the U.S. has. It has LGBT rights, so that's not going to be an issue. It has all the LGBT rights. I looked at the list. There's like one obscure thing missing, and there's like a anti-propaganda law, but only within government, within education. But it's not in that part of the LGBT rights bill is not recognized, and probably it's not enforceable in any way. There's no teeth behind that. So we have all the LGBT rights, and we have religious liberty and freedom for Jewish, for Muslim, and for Christian. So I think Minnesota and its friendliness, it would be the perfect state to annex Israel, because Minnesota has a significant Muslim population. Somali, but, good enough. I mean, Minnesota is the only state in the U.S. that has elected two Muslim representatives. Keith Ellison, the first one, like shortly after 9/11, like really shortly after 9/11, we elected, well, Minneapolis elected Keith Ellison to represent it because why not? And then that district is now represented by Ilhan Omar, and I mean, she has every right and reason to criticize the government of Israel, but everyone else does, and, Israel's just this big money pit, and if you really need to give Israel and Palestine a timeout, this is the best way to do it, because Minnesota has a significant Muslim population. I think Governor Walz would take the same approach to Israel as he did with the pandemic, where he looked at the research and did what as much of the necessary things as he could. That's just how Tim Walz governs. It might be too heavy-handed for you, but I prefer doing those things to dying. Um, you know, or knowing that I killed other people. Those two shutdown periods saved a ton of lives. You need to know this going forward, but like Tim Walz could see, he's all about one Minnesota, and if that Minnesota includes Israel, he's like, okay, he'll probably be like, okay, you're part of Minnesota, and you need to get your act together. You can vote in our elections now. Be nice, be friendly. That's just how Minnesota is. He'll give Israel County an introduction. And Palestine will feel good. Like the Jewish population of Israel County won't feel so good, but it will be Israel County, and when Israel County just learns the values of Minnesota and applies them as much as possible, well, Metro Minnesota, East Minnesota, once they do that, should be smooth sailing from there. I guess the lesson here is, don't be Islamophobic. Just don't. Don't don't be horribly Islamophobic, and don't, see groups of people as the worst possible stereotype unless they're Republicans, because at this point, or, in a few months, that's all of the Republican Party that's going to be left. That's the Minnesota plan for Israel. I call it the North Star of David plan, and I look forward to seeing you in the next video.